Let's painlessly get a finished Java project into a new GitHub repo via the command line as quick as possible. After you're finished coding, head over to your command line and navigate to the project root. It's time to initialize this project as a local repo. The git int command creates a new Git repository. It can be used for converting an existing project to a Git repository or initializing a new empty repository. Including the -b flag with the word main, we can set the default branch inside of our new Git repo to be the main branch. With the local empty repo initialized, it's time to add files to be committed. Use the git add command to pick the files that you want to add to your remote repo. After all the files are added, use git commit-m with your commit message to wrap all those files up into one commit. In your browser, head over to your GitHub account to create a new repo. Provide a repo name and initialize the repo with the Java git ignore. When a new repo is created, the main branch is set as the default branch. It will be important that we set our local main branch to be the same as our remote main branch. Now that the remote repo is created, click on the code button and copy the SSH URL to this repo. Flip back to the command line so that we can make a relationship between the local repo and the remote repo. To add a new remote to this repo, use the git remote add command in the terminal window. This command takes two arguments, a remote name and a remote URL. Our remote name will be origin, as by default, and the remote URL will be the SSH URL that we just copied. Using git remote-v shows the URLs of the remote repos when you're listing the current remote connections. So this confirms that we have a connection between our local repo and our remote repo. It's time to grab that main branch from our remote repo. So use git fetch to grab that branch down and bring it into our local repo. Now it's time to make that connection between our remote main branch and our local main branch. Using set upstream to, we can make the origin main to our local main. Up next is a git pull --rebase. This will grab those remote changes and bring them into your main branch, but it will ensure that your local changes will be reapplied on top of those remote changes. Finally, we're to the point where we can take your local changes and push them out to the remote repo. After that push, you can see that our main branch is up to date with the origin main. And if we take a look at GitHub, we'll see our changes out there on the remote repo as well. Now our local repo is set up as a remote repo. We can continue making changes to our project using git push to push those changes out there after we wrap them up into a commit. And that is how we quickly and painlessly get a local project out to a GitHub repo.